I've heard plenty of outrageous HOA horror stories over the years, but this one honestly tops them all. It involves my yacht, an unbelievably entitled board member, and a public meltdown that still makes people in my neighborhood shake their heads. So settle in, because this gets wild fast. Here's a little context first. I spent years grinding through long hours and high-pressure projects to finally afford my dream house. It sits on a gorgeous lake and comes with a private pier stretching out over the water. And tied up at the end of that pier is my pride and joy, a luxury yacht I named Serenity. That boat is more than fiberglass and chrome to me. It's my escape, my reward, my quiet place after years of hard work. For the most part, the community is great. But like any neighborhood run by an HOA, there's always one person who takes things too far. In our case, that person was Karen. She served on the HOA board and carried herself like that title came with a crown and scepter. In her mind, rules apply to everyone else, but her position gave her front row access to everyone's business. We'd had a few minor clashes before. You know the routine. My trash bins were out 60 minutes earlier than the approved time. My grass measured a fraction of an inch beyond regulation height. Nothing catastrophic, just petty annoyances designed to remind you someone was watching. But what happened last Saturday took things from mildly irritating to completely unhinged. It was one of those flawless sunny afternoons. I was out on the deck of the Serenity, polishing the chrome rails and getting everything ready for a sunset cruise with some friends later that evening. The lake was calm, the air was warm, and for once, everything felt peaceful. Then I heard it, a sharp, deliberate call from the far end of my pier. I glanced up. There she was, Karen, arms crossed, oversized floppy sun hat, that tight-lipped expression that suggested she'd just bitten into something sour. Standing behind her were 4 well-dressed guests in upscale resort outfits, scanning my property like real estate investors on a showing. I let out a slow breath. "Can I help you, Karen?" I called out, keeping my tone neutral. She strutted down the pier, her entourage following close behind, their polished sandals clicking against the wooden planks. "There you are," she announced, not asked. "We were just about to come looking for you." I set the polishing rag aside. "Well, you found me. What's going on?" With a grand sweep of her arm toward my yacht, she declared, "My cousins are visiting from the city." She said it like she was delivering headline news. "They were admiring your boat." She emphasized boat in a way that implied it was a rusty fishing skiff instead of a vessel I'd pour my savings into. "It's a yacht," I corrected gently. "And thanks. I'm pretty proud of her." One of her guests, a man with a slick-back ponytail and designer sunglasses, stepped forward. "It's very impressive," he said, inspecting it closely. "We were just saying how wonderful it would be to see the interior." And that's when Karen dropped it. "Exactly," she chirped brightly. "So we're going to need you to open it up for us. They'd love a private tour. And we'll need access to the galley and main cabin. We're planning a small cocktail hour." I blinked. Surely I'd misheard. She was demanding to use my personal yacht for her social gathering. I forced out a short laugh. "Karen, you're joking, right? This is my private yacht." Her smile vanished like someone flipped a switch. Her expression hardened. "I am a board member of this Homeowners Association," she said, lowering her voice into something cold and threatening. "This community values hospitality and shared resources. It would reflect poorly on you to be uncooperative." Now irritation began replacing disbelief. "Uncooperative?" I replied, "This is my private property. It's not a clubhouse. It's not a rental. The answer is no. There's no tour. There's no cocktail party." Her guests exchanged awkward looks. A few shuffled their feet. But Karen wasn't backing down. Her face flushed deep red. "How dare you?" she shrieked, her voice bouncing across the lake. "Do you know who I am? I can make your life here extremely difficult. This violates the Community Spirit Clause." I was fairly certain Community Spirit Clause was something she had invented on the spot. "That's not a real rule, Karen," I said evenly. "You and your guests need to leave my pier. You're trespassing." That word lit a fuse. "Trespassing," she exploded. "This pier connects to community land. I'll have you fined. I'll have that ugly boat towed for being an eyesore. You'll regret this." Her cousins were now clearly embarrassed, tugging at her sleeves and murmuring, "Let's go, Carol. This isn't necessary." She shook them off. She was in full meltdown mode, ranting about respect, about authority, about how selfish and arrogant I was. It was a spectacle, and that's when inspiration struck. While she paused to inhale for her next outburst, I calmly pulled out my phone. I made sure the red recording light was clearly visible and pointed it directly at her. "Karen," I said steadily, "please continue. I'd love for the rest of the HOA board to hear your interpretation of this community spirit clause." She froze mid-sentence. Her mouth hung open. Her eyes darted between my phone and my face. The anger drained from her expression, replaced by panic. You can't record me," she stammered. "Actually, I can," I replied calmly. "We're outside, and you're creating a disturbance. You were saying something about fines? Please explain the process." I'm sure the board president will find this very informative. Without another word, she spun around and stormed off the pier, her humiliated guests scrambling behind her. I stopped recording and saved the file. Something told me that video was going to matter. The following morning, I emailed the HOA president. I attached a clip and wrote a short, simple message. A board member named Karen had concerns regarding my yacht. I believe this video provides helpful context. Within an hour, I received a reply requesting my presence at an emergency board meeting that evening. When I arrived, every board member was seated at the table, including a noticeably pale and silent Karen. The president, Tom, a reasonable guy, looked exhausted. He projected the video onto a large screen. The room went completely silent as they watched Karen demand access to my yacht, threaten fake fines, and spiral into a screaming tirade. When the video ended, you could practically hear the air shift. Karen avoided eye contact, staring at the table as if it might swallow her whole. Tom turned to me first. "On behalf of the HOA, I sincerely apologize. This was an unacceptable abuse of authority." Then he faced Karen. "Your behavior was a disgrace to this board and this community. We are requesting your immediate resignation." She attempted to protest, to justify, to spin the story, but the footage spoke for itself. Within minutes, she resigned and left the room without another word. The rest of the board members personally apologized to me and assured me changes would be made. Since then, peace. The new board operates professionally. No petty complaints about my lawn. No harassment about trash bins. And the Serenity? She remains exactly what she was meant to be, my private sanctuary. No unauthorized cocktail parties have been suggested since. Sometimes the best way to handle a bully isn't to argue. Sometimes you just press record and let them unravel on their own. So what do you think? Was I right to stand my ground? Or should I have let her host her little yacht soiree? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.